A very good morning to all the students of class 11th political science. Students, welcome to the online classes here. As you know, we were doing the first chapter of your book according to the revised syllabus which has been issued by CBSC for your this particular session. So we were into the 10th part of this chapter, and today's that 10th part is constitutional amendments. This is the first chapter and this is the part number 10 I am teaching you. But before we understand what do we understand by constitutional amendments and the meaning of amendments, I want you to know the particular topic, that is constitution as a living document. Why we call Indian constitution as a living document. Okay, so it is very important to understand the why it is a living document, then we will able to understand what do we understand by constitutional amendments. So we shall start the topic from here. Are constitution static? It is a question to us. It is not only about the Indian constitution, any constitution. Are they static? Static means anything which are very rigid and the changes are impossible. It is we are unable to change it in its structure or any provisions, articles, or any rule regulations. So it is called static. So it is a question to you. So it is not uncommon for nations to rewrite their constitutions in response to changed circumstances or change of ideas within the society, or even due to political upheavals. They are saying it is not a common, it has been happening and it will continue to happen, that many nations have rewrite their constitution with changing time phase, changing particular situation in the country, change in the society, culture, lifestyle of the people, and change in the decades. The different nations had rewrote their constitutions once again. So the example has been given here. The Soviet Union had four constitution in its life. USSR, as you must be knowing, today's Russia. It was a organization, or it was a country, group of countries. It was called the Soviet Union. They followed the ideology of communalism. In their this year of 74 of years, till it was a country, it had not been disintegrated. It had four constitutions in place. That is 1919, 1924, 1936, 1977. So with change in time and situation, they had to change the rules according to the need of the society. Okay, so in 1991, after 1997 was the last constitution was made for Soviet Union, but in 1991 the rule of the Communist Party of Soviet Union came to an end, and soon the Soviet Federation disintegrated, that is collapsed. This particular Soviet Union, it collapsed in 1991 after the political upheaval, the newly formed Russia. So after that, what was formed? Russia was the most dominant country which was formed after the disintegration of USSR. Adopted a new constitution. So Russia adopted a new constitution in 1993. So this example they are showing with that the society and the change with time and situation, or because of the political upheaval, or imbalance between the political and economic conditions of a particular place, there is always need for the changes and circumstances in a particular place. Okay, so it is telling you it is very common, sincere. So now we will talk about India. But look at India. So this was the case with Soviet Union and around many countries around the world which had been making different provisions, writing different constitutions from time to time. But if we talk of India, the Constitution of India was adopted in 26 November 1949, although it came into or it was enforced on 26th January 1950, but it was adopted on this particular date. Its implementation formally started from, so it was implemented in 26 January 1950. More than 68, now more than 70. Okay, it's written more than 68 years after that, the same constitution continues to function as the framework within the government of our country. Still, the same constitution is being continuing, and we have been governed our country, or the government is able to govern our country according to the rules and regulations or provisions which are written down in the same constitution. So more than 70 years, but we are still following the same constitution. We have not changed or made a new constitution like Soviet Union did here. It is that, so they will give you the reason now why is it so. It is that our constitution is so good that it needs no change. So they are telling you this is because our constitution is too good, or it is so nicely framed and framed and put into this functioning, because that is why there are no changes. Or was it that our constitution makers were so far sighted and wise that they had foreseen all the changes that would become? Or they are saying the framers of our constitution, the constituent assembly and all the members, they were so far sighted, they were so intellectual, they could see they could foresee all the future possibilities coming up and the changes which would be required in the contemporary world. So were so far seen or far sighted? These are the questions to you. Why the changes have not been made in the constitution? Not changes. Why completely we have not changed the constitution for more than 70 years? We are continuing with the same constitution. So the framers of our constitution were so far sighted. They knew all the possibilities which are to be faced by the people of India in the future. So in some sense both answers are correct. If you see, both answers are correct because they were far sighted, they were intellectual, they could see what were the condition of the country at that particular time, what were the provisions and articles required at that particular time of the independence period, and what were the needs of the people or will be the need of the people in the future coming years of or the future governments. All that was seen. That is why they are using word far sighted. So it is very correct to use these two terms for our constitution. It is true that we have inherited a very robust constitution. The basic framework of constitution is very much suited to our country. So the structure of our constitution, which has been selected, and we can say we have copied many of the provisions from other countries, but according to the needs and conditions of our constitution. So this constitution suits our country or our society very well. It is also true that constitution makers were very far-sighted and provided for more solutions for future situations. They were so far-sighted that they had all the provisions in place which were required at that particular moment just after independence. Also, they had such provisions, such articles which would help the future governments to see and amend the different provisions and articles in coming future. But no constitution can prove that all but no constitution can provide for all eventualities. No document can be such that it needs no change. But there is no such document around the world, if we see any constitution, which does not require any change. Different provisions can be made in it that we don't require to change the basic structure of the constitution. Like here Soviet Union was changing its or rewriting its own constitution again and again. They have made it 4 times. But in India we have such a provision, we have such rules regulations been adopted in our constitution. The framing committee or the forefathers of our constitution, they have made the constitution in such a way that we need not to change the basic structure of the constitution. Without changing its basic structure, some provisions are put to amend the constitution. So that is why they have written here. Then how does the same constitution continues to serve the country? Okay, how come our country has been governed by the same constitution more than 70 years now? One of the answer to such question is that constitution accept the necessities of modification. One of the most important question is we can say constitution accepts the necessity or modifications according to the changing need of the society. With the need of the society and changing time, the modifications or the needs changes or the amendments can be made in the constitution. This is one of the important provision of the constitution which makes our constitution a very successful, which has been governing our country since 70 years now. Secondly, in the actual working of constitution, there has been enough flexibility of interpretations. Both political practices and judicial ruling have shown maturity and flexibility in amending the constitution. So we can say both these judiciary as well as our political practices, the political parties, they have shown the maturity, and because of them we have been able to show the flexibility towards our constitution to make the changes and improvements or modifications according to the need of the time and society. These factors have made our constitution a living. So we can say because of these factors which we have studied till now, we can say that Indian constitution is a living document. Why living? Because it can change or it can be modified, or certain provisions can be added or removed or amended according to the need of the society. So that is why we are saying living. It is living with the people as the needs and demands and desires of the people are fulfilled because of the constitution. So with the change in the needs and demands and desires of the maximum of the population of a society, there are different modifications made. That is why our constitution is called living document. So it is not very easy to amend the constitution, make modifications or change various provisions. It is a very complicated procedure. No one can easily change our constitution, or no one can change the basic structure of the constitution actually. So let's see what are the conditions here to make modifications or changes in the constitution. Although we are calling it a living document because it is obeying the coming changes or change in time and situation of the people. Yeah, we can read it from here now. It is important. Other things I have explained you. The makers of our Indian constitution were aware of this problem that sought to strike a balance. So the problems coming up in the society, that how to amend the constitution. So they placed constitution above ordinary law and expected that the future generations will respect this document. So it was thought by the constitution, or we can say by the framers of the constitution, that the constitution above ordinary law and expected that the future generation will respect this law. That this constitution is not like a ordinary law which we have to make for the society. It is above the ordinary law which cannot be amended easily. There is a certain procedure to amend it or make any modifications in the constitution. Or also along with it, the future generation will respect this document. This document of which is our constitution, it should be respected by the future generations. At the same time, they recognize that in the future this document may require modification. They also knew, framers of this constitution very well knew, that with the change of time and passage of time, this particular document at that particular time it was very correct, but with the change in time and situation, there will be the need or requirement of modifications. Even at the time of writing the constitution, they were aware that on many matters there were differences of opinion, as they knew when they were framing the constitution at that particular moment also they were having so much of differences of opinion, and they had to debate on different articles and provisions which were being put forward into the constitution. So whenever society would weave together any particular opinion, a change in the constitution provision would be required. So they thought that in future, if society had a common opinion altogether, most of the population, then there should be a required change or modification in the constitution, or the provisions of the constitution would be required. Thus, the Indian constitution is a combination. So we can say, thus the Indian constitution is a combination of both the approaches mentioned above. That the constitution is a sacred document. It is a sacred document which should be respected by the future generations and all the citizens, according to which our government governs our country, and that it is an instrument that may be required change. And we also have to respect this document in a sense that changes or modifications may be made into it when required, okay, from time to time. In other words, the constitution is not a static document. So this was a question in the very beginning of this topic. Our constitution is static. So we can say our constitution is not a static document. It is not the final word about everything. We cannot say that whatever is written in the constitution, it is full and final. This is a last decision. But some changes can be done, but there is a certain procedure to amend it. Okay. This is very important. So I'm talking about the amendments or making modifications or changes in the constitution or different provisions which are prevalent in the society. How to amend them? So how to amend the constitution? What are the procedures? What is the article? So you have to remember this article. If anyone asks you which is the article involved in the amendment of the constitution, if you have to make any changes in the constitution, which article is to be concerned? So article 368 is the only article under which there are different amendments or modifications and changes are made in our constitution. So you have to remember this article. It's written here also. What is written in this article? Parliament may, in exercise of its constituent power, Parliament is having some constituent powers, amended by way of addition. So it can amend or make changes or modifications or any additions or variations or repeal or any provision. Okay, reviewing any provision, making few changes in particular provisions of the constitution in accordance with the procedure laid down in this article. So according to the provisions laid down in this particular article, which article? So according to this article, whatever the provisions, rules are written under this article, the amendments are made in the constitution. We have already seen that the makers of our constitution wanted to strike a balance. They want to maintain a balance in the constitution. The constitution must be amended if so required. They said there should be some provision that the constitution can be amended if required, but it must be protected. But along with it, the constitution must be protected from unnecessary and frequent changes. The changes or the amendments or the modifications should not be unnecessary or frequent time to time in a short period of time. So we can amend the constitution. That is why I say there is a procedure of changes, so that people cannot amend it easily again and again and unnecessarily. In other words, they wanted the constitution, so the framers of the constitution wanted that constitution be flexible. It should be flexible, that people can make changes in it. At the same time, they also wanted it rigid also. So we can say our constitution, Indian constitution, is flexible as well as rigid. So flexible means open to changes. Flexible, the meaning of is our constitution is open to changes and modifications in it, and rigid means it is resistant. It stops the unnecessary changes in it, the constitution easily. A constitution that can be easily changed or modified is often called flexible constitution. Any type of constitution which is easily changed or modified and easily provisions are added or removed, it is called flexible. Okay. In the case of constitution which are very difficult to amend, they are called rigid, and some constitution around the world which are very difficult to amend are called rigid. But the Indian constitution combines both these characteristics. So this is a very important characteristics I can say about the constitution, that our country is not totally a flexible constitution and it is not totally a rigid constitution. It is a mixture of both flexible and rigid. That's why it's written the Indian constitution combines both these characteristics of rigid as well as flexible. And it is very complicated issue, because we have to be rigid also and we have to be flexible also, in that various procedures are being we can say acted upon to make the smooth functioning of constitution from time to time. The makers of constitution were aware of the fact that there may be some faults or mistake in the constitution. They very well know no document can be a foolproof, that it can be right. There are always some faults in the documents. They knew that, and there are they cannot say that any constitution can be totally free of errors. Whenever such mistakes would come to light, they wanted the constitution to easily amend. They wanted that whenever people see that there are some errors in the constitution which are harming the society, and which a large part of the society is being harmed because of some particular article or provision, so they wanted that in future it can be amended through a particular process. Okay, easily amended and be able to get rid of these mistakes, okay. Then there were some provisions in the constitution that were temporary in nature, and decided that these could be altered later on once the new parliament was elected. But at the same time, the constitution was framing a federal polity, and therefore rights and powers of the states could not be changed without the consent of the state. So they are not talking here what were the procedure and what were the conditions under which the amendments were made in the constitution. So here is the chart for you. It's written here. Better you read before reading. You see this chart. It's written clearly. How to amend the constitution, we can say. So these are the three types. First one is similar to ordinary law, simple majority in parliament. So if you have to make any amendment in the constitution, this is the first method, which is similar to ordinary. Like we make the ordinary law in which we vote, and 50% of the people present and voting, who gets the majority is the winner, we can say. So it's written simple majority in parliament as mentioned in some articles. Then it's written special majority in parliament. In the parliament we need to amend a particular act with a special majority in both the houses separately, as per, and what were the procedure we have to follow. This is the procedure under article 368. And in the special majority, this is the third one, special majority plus legislatures of half the states, all the states of the India, special majority plus we have to also get the side of the legislature of half of the states. This is also under article 368. So we saw the three methods of amendment in the constitution. First was the simple majority, in which we just vote, and 50% of the, if we get the 50% of votes, we can amend any law. But this is special majority. We'll try and understand what do we understand by special majority. If you have to make any modifications or changes in the constitution, you have to amend it, you need to have a special majority. So what do we understand by special majority? For certain articles, and for certain articles we need a special majority plus we can say half of the states legislature consent of there. So it's written here, ordinarily all business of the legislature requires that a motion or resolution or bill should get the support of a simple majority. Many of the provisions and rules and articles which we have to change, they need to have the consent of by simple majority. If any modifications are required, they can be done with the simple majority of the members And what do we mean by simple majority? Simple majority of the members voting at that time. Suppose they have given you the example. Suppose that at the time of voting of a bill, there is a bill in which voting has been done. 247 members are present in the house and all of them participated in voting. So in a house, suppose Lok Sabha, 247 members are there and they all have voted in a particular bill. Then the bill would be passed at if at least 120 votes. So half, I said half the people of voting present and voting. So if 124 members vote in favor, if they vote in favor of the bill, no, not so in the case. So that bill will be passed because 50% of the people present and voting have supported or shown their favor to a particular bill. Not so in the case of an amendment bill. But if we are talking about the amendment bill, this is not the case. This is not the situation. Amendment to the constitution requires two different kinds of special majority. If you have to make changes in the constitution provisions, this is not the way that we will do it by the simple majority. A special majority is required. That's why they have written amendment to the constitution requires two kinds of special majority. And what is that two kinds of special majority? In the first place, those voting in favor of the amendment bill should constitute at least half of the total strength of that house. So people voting, they should be equal to the half of the strength of the house. Like here 247 were voting. Suppose the total population of the house was 500. So it was very much important that there should be 250 members to have this particular bill moved. Secondly, it's written, the supporters of the amendment bill must also constitute two-thirds of those who actually take part in the voting. Both houses of the parliament must pass the amendment bill separately. And after this two type of special majority, this is also the case. Both the houses, they cannot merge their voting. They cannot merge their favor or decisions together. Both the houses voting has to be done separately in this same manner. Okay. So this was the one way separately, and in the same way other method is rectification by the state. After we have achieved the special majority, we also have to get rectification by the states. That is half of the total number of states in India also have to show a favor or a support towards a particular amendment. If they show after the special majority, these states also show their favor towards a particular provision, then the amendment is made and implemented. So this was the topic for the day. Actually your topic is just constitutional amendment, that you should know what is, do you understand by constitutional amendment. But I have also told you why we call it, because it was very important for you to understand why constitution is also called living document, because changes made in it or modifications made in the constitution with the change in the time phase or the circumstances of the society, so it is called a living document. And those changes and modifications are only, we can say, are the amendments in the constitution. Okay, till then, thank you.